Triumph Group has been awarded a contract to enhance the U.S. Army's CH-47 Chinook helicopters, focusing on improving performance and extending operational life, which is great. Upgrades are going to include advanced avionics, structural enhancements to meet modern battlefield requirements. Early feedback from deployment suggests that the lasers have successfully neutralized drone threats, but require further testing against larger missile targets. Integrating new technologies in existing airframes without compromising the helicopter's reliability is what's going to pose some pretty significant engineering challenges.
Do you know how old that is, that helicopter?
If I was going to take a guess, maybe
just take a look at it.
40 years? 40?
It's over 60 years that it's been in service.
No.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That being said, technology refresh cycles in your avionics, in your structures, and your weapon systems move at about 5 to 10 year paces. So the challenge on this one is going to be integrating all that new tech into an aging airframe without actually introducing some kind of unforeseen life cycle constraint or structural fatigue risk on the whole thing. I mean, this is almost ancient history.
I mean, okay, that makes sense, but help me understand where the line there is, like for when it's time to do a tech refresh. I assume that they're not even going to consider doing a refresh if there's going to be life cycle constraints, structural fatigue that could risk basic use of the helicopter.
Sure, yeah, that's true. I mean, that's the balance that they've got to strike. The decision to refresh really depends on three main areas. You've got mission viability against your upgrade feasibility. You've got a cost replacement option thing going on. You've got airframe stress to consider. So a number of main things. I mean, you look at your mission viability and versus an upgrade feasibility. You've got an upgrade extended mission effectiveness to consider without actually exceeding the structural elements, the limits of it, and is that worth it? But if your new tech is going to introduce more risks than benefits, then you've got to rethink it. If your cost of replacement versus these new options is going to cost you millions versus extending for another 10 or 15 years, then that's something to consider. And I think really from an airframe stress perspective, you've got your new avionics, you've got your weapons, your structural modifications that need to take place. And that's going to affect then your Chinook's center of gravity. You've got vibration loads to consider. You've got fatigue cycles to go through. I mean, you're going to run through hundreds of FEA and fatigue modeling to make sure that long-term fatigue is not going to take place. So no, if an upgrade jeopardizes the aircraft's fundamental structure, they're not going to do it. But if they can manage the risks of it all through engineering controls and predictive maintenance, then they're just going to push forward.
So where's the solution in all of this? Is it supply chain? Is it testing? Is it
yeah, I mean, supply chain is definitely part of it, but it's obviously much bigger than that. The real issue is going to be making sure that upgrades don't introduce life cycle risks. So we need a full traceability in place from the design to the sustainment. And we would go about that in three ways. Number one, we'd simulate stress and fatigue. We'd then deliver a digital thread for design right through to BOM traceability, so that every upgrade needs to be locked into the engineering change process, not untracked modifications that is just going to introduce risk later, especially in this kind of ITAR environment. And then lastly, you're going to need your predictive maintenance. So your AI tools coming in on that, your machine learning tools coming on structured data. And once you've upgraded, monitor the flight data in real time to make sure that you're detecting stress points before they even become failures. Next one.